Good morning, dear colleagues and friends, dear Jean-Michel, and dear Vice President and Mr. Jia Zhangke, our new Vice President from China. Thank you all for coming to our General Assembly this year. It's great to see so many of you with us today. Thank you also, Eric, to you and to the Vice Chairs, Marisa and Javier, for all your support in the past year. It is a special pleasure and an honor to be here to take the floor at this General Assembly. It always is, but this year it's special because this year we mark an important anniversary in the history of CISAC. So 90 years ago this month, it was on Sunday, the 13th of June, 1926, the historic meeting that was to lead to the creation of CISAC took place in this city, in Paris. In fact, it was not too far from here. This meeting was initiated and was hosted by SACD, and it was attended by representatives of the author societies of 18 countries. Our history matters, and it is always fascinating to go back in history and to look at the ways in which things happened and why they happened. But of course, the purpose of today's meeting is not to indulge in nostalgia. We should draw energy from our illustrious past, and so that we may continue with the present struggles and face the challenges of the future. We should tap into our history as a source of inspiration for how to deal with the complex challenges of our own times. And when you look at these challenges, you realize that they're not much different from the challenges that we had 90 years ago and which have led to the creation of CISAC. So, this is the cover of our new book about the history of CISAC and the history of cooperation between author societies through CISAC, under the CISAC umbrella. When we began with our research for this book, we discovered a remarkable convergence between past and present. The issues that occupy the authors who founded CISAC are the same issues that occupy us today. The problems faced by the founders of CISAC are very similar to the problems we have today. Technologies come and go. Politics fluctuate, business models evolve, but the challenges for creators, the challenges remain the same. Look at this statement. Let us unite, help each other know each other. Let's learn in detail, in text and in practice, the functioning of the diverse societies of authors that exist all over the world, and we shall attain obligatorily, mathematically, to this result whose benefits you see, the elimination of the intermediary. I'm not talking about the honest, active, and useful intermediary. There are indeed a few, not many perhaps, but some. But of the parasitical and noxious intermediary who deprives us of the money owed to us. It seems like it was said this week. Only it is from the 13th of June, 1926. It is in the minutes of that historic day, that historic meeting that led to the foundation of CISAC. This quote that you see on the screen is from Robert de Flers, a French playwright and one of CISAC's founding fathers. The intermediaries that he talks about are theater owners, the theater owners of the 1920s. But if you replace them with today's online music services, UGC platforms, auction houses, galleries, this 90-year-old quote comes to life as if one of us has just made it up on the spot. Then, as now, authors and their societies had to keep challenging the power of intermediaries that attempt to control content, to dictate the terms of access to content, and to retain a disproportionate share of the revenues that they generate from providing access to creative content. Then, as now, authors have to raise their voice collectively and to argue for meaningful protection and for fair remuneration. In fact, very early on in the history of CISAC, the men and women who shaped CISAC's politics understood the importance of fair remuneration. Just listen to this rousing call to arms given by a German lawyer named Wenzel Goldbaum. He was saying these things at the CISAC 6th Annual Congress. It was in London in 1931. Brothers, do not forget that the great Frenchman, Caron de Beaumarchais, bonded the author with the public. The notion of droit d'auteur that he created included the right that the author has over revenue from his work, directly arising from the masses. His participation to revenue, through a percentage, welds a circle of iron, economically speaking, between the author and his work. Droit d'auteur means percentage. And you know, it is not just this issue of fair remuneration where you see all of these similarities. Another area in which past and present has much more than just passing similarities is all of this push that we see by users of copyright works for more exceptions and for less copyright protection. Here is another quote from the CISAC history. During the sessions of the conference, the words were all of legal or compulsory licenses, restrictions, limitations, exceptions attached to the rights of authors. The right of people to teaching, to culture, to education. Thus, the exclusive right of the author found itself submerged under a flood of concessions, which, it has to be said, aged it and made it look out of fashion. This quote comes from Léon Malaplate, a French lawyer who was in fact doing my job in 1968. Again, take these words and put them in a contemporary setting. And what you get is a near perfect summary of the issues that CISAC and our members, you, are faced with all over the world today. From Google's abuse of the fair use exception to the problem with ISP safe harbors, and all of this general trend that we see for weakening the legal protection of creators. We are fighting these battles against limitations and exceptions around the world and in many countries. Now, I could go on, but the point of this little game of quotes is to remind us all that the history has things to teach us about the present. And I want to underline just how much I think we've learned over the years and how it shaped the CISAC of today. And what we've tried to do in recent past, in recent years, is to realize our full potential as an advocacy body. We've been working dynamically with our president, with our vice presidents, with our creators' councils. We put creators at the forefront of our activities, at the forefront of our lobbying efforts, and we are boosting our communications and our public relations. We have significantly stepped up our lobbying footprint, and we are now engaged in several campaigns that have already had unprecedented global reach and impact. One of these campaigns is on the transfer of value on the digital economy. We've started raising this issue in different forums, in different international conferences, and most recently it was the key item in a major academic event that CISAC co-hosted with the University of Chile. In the past year, we've also launched, together with writers and directors worldwide, a major campaign on the remuneration right of directors and screenwriters. The launch of this campaign took place in Beijing, at the presence of high-level government officials and in a major international conference that was widely reported in the media and was also mentioned on TV. There was an item on that on CCTV. We've also moved forward with a powerful campaign on the resale right of visual artists. We've commissioned an academic study from a leading copyright law professor, and we organized different panel events in Geneva with him and with creators. We've already scored major achievements in this campaign, and as a result of our extensive lobbying, and I should say they are coordinated with EVA, European Visual Artists, and CISAC, as a result of this campaign, and the high-profile events that we've organized. We've managed to convince the WIPO Standing Committee on Copyright to take up this item, and now it is formally on the agenda and it is discussed at the plenary. But probably one of the most significant projects we had in the past year was our study on the economic contribution of the cultural and creative industries. This was a first of its kind study. It was a study that showed just how much our sector brings to economic development and to job creation around the world. The press conference to launch this study was hosted by UNESCO and by its Director General, Irina Bokova. Our president, Jean-Michel Jarre, was there, and the whole event attracted unprecedented media coverage. And if I'm speaking of media, in the past year we've made another major step forward in our visibility and in our relationship with the press and with the global media outlets. Our meetings and conferences, whether they are in China, in Angola, Russia, Bulgaria, Azerbaijan, Chile, Colombia, many other countries that we went to in the last year, these meetings and these conferences attract more media coverage and more interest than ever before. But perhaps the most attention is now captured by our Global Collections report. We worked very hard to improve this report, and the media took very good notice of it. And when we issued our last report, it was not only in Billboard and in Music Week and in all of the industry journals, but it was also reported in daily and leading daily newspapers. Another area of attention for us this year was technology. We moved forward with what we call the Cross-Industry Project, a project that brings together creators, publishers, and societies, and which is aimed at improving industry efficiencies, promoting the adoption of our identifiers, and facilitating the implementation of our standards and rules. We've also instructed our technology service provider, FastTrack, to carry out a number of projects aimed at improving business exchanges and to promote the use of our identifiers, not only among societies, but also digital services and publishers. Another one of our key ongoing projects has to do with governance. We are reviewing the criteria for CISAC membership, and we are reviewing our membership categories. We do this to respond to market developments, to make sure that we remain relevant, and at the same time to make sure that we maintain our core values. We are also preparing for the implementation of a new approach to compliance reviews, an approach which takes into account the different levels of development of our societies around the world. And finally, we are also improving our governance tools because we want to make it easier for you, our members, to meet the professional rules and to have a better access to information. Now, there are many other ongoing projects in the legal, policy, technology, communications, governance, creators' relations. You will hear all about them during the day. So before I finish, I would like to go back in history one last time. And I would like to show you this dialogue. This dialogue took place between the French playwright André Rivoire, who was the first chairman of CISAC, and the French president Aristide Briand. Rivoire responded to an invitation from the French president to receive his blessings at the Élysée Palace. So he went to the Élysée to receive the president's blessing for the new CISAC. And the dialogue between them went as follows. So the president said, "A League of Nations for the theater." And Rivoire responded, "Indeed, a League of Nations for the theater." "Very good," said the president. "Try to stay united. And once it is founded, try to keep all your members. Don't let them go. Close the door safely so you may keep them all in." And Rivoire responded, "Well, for the moment, we are still at the stage when we mostly have to keep it open. We shall close it later on." Well, friends, it's been 90 years, and the door is still open. But there's two things that were mentioned there that I would like to talk about, and that's unity and openness. Unity and openness are two qualities that have become the legacy of CISAC. These qualities have seen CISAC through 9 turbulent and challenging decades. They've ensured that we stay relevant and that we do not lose sight of the fundamental things that we stand for. They've made us able to adapt and to keep our focus on creators' welfare through waves of change in the technology and in the business environments. They've ensured that from a Eurocentric origin, CISAC has transformed into a global family of author societies and a truly global platform for creators. Unity and openness, as long as we stay true to these two qualities, we will continue to be meaningful and we will continue to make a difference for our creators. Thank you.